Hi, I'm Brooke Wagner, and I'm here with Dr. Brian Patrick to talk about his new book, The 10 Commandments of Propaganda. We're going to discuss the book in a series of short episodes, one for each commandment. Now I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Brian Patrick, the author of The 10 Commandments of Propaganda. Commandment number 6.
10 Commandments of Propaganda. Number 6, distance the propaganda from the source. This is done in a number of ways. I'm going to give a few. The primary way in America is through what you would call media relations. Almost 100 years ago, corporations realized that they could create news synthetically. And the system of news in this country is such, it's a business. And it needs input, it needs content. And the corporate types realized that they could create this content for media organizations, that media organizations just take this stuff and use it. In my professional career, I've written many of what is called a press release. I've set up quite a few media events. These are events set up for the camera. I'll give you an example. Let's say that there's a crime bill coming up. Well, you're going to see President Obama on the front steps of the, if this is a Democratic crime bill, you're going to see President Obama on the front steps of the Capitol, surrounded by police chiefs in uniform, brought in from all over the country, and probably some children, maybe some family members of crime victims. Now, do you think they just all arrived there that one day and happened to pose for the photo? No, this is a media event set up for the camera. By creating this kind of news, you make life easier for journalists. They need this stuff. They're in a deadline-driven business. They use it. Plus, it's cheaper for news organizations to use this sort of created news. Some experts estimate that maybe 50 to 80% of the national news stream consists of press releases and created synthetic events of this sort. So know what you're looking at and know who's putting it on and who benefits. You're distancing. The propagandists are using the news media to distance themselves from the propaganda, and plus it achieves greater authenticity. It achieves greater credibility, because when the White House issues a press release, you know what it's all about. Or when Brady Center for Gun Control issues a press release, you know what the point is. You know who it came from. When NRA releases a press release, you know what it's all about. But when the White House, when it happens on the steps of the White House and when it's reported in the New York Times or the Los Angeles Times, this information seems more depersonalized. It seems more objective. And this is very important. So you distance the source from the propaganda. This is also done through what are called front organizations. Front organizations are very interesting things. You can pretty much create them at will. Citizens Committee for Infant Digestion. This sounds like a ridiculous example, and I might have marred the name in telling it to you, but there actually was such a group back in the 1920s, and they were responsible for popularizing the banana as a staple of the American diet. PR guy, a guy who invented the term public relations by the name of Ed Bernays, was working for United Fruit Company. They had bananas and no market. At that time, the banana was a comic fruit, if you were familiar with the song. Yes, we have no bananas, we have no bananas for sale. Well, you laughed at bananas, you didn't eat them, until Ed Bernays comes along. He gets some doctor who had authored a report on using bananas to treat infant digestive maladies. Ed Bernays makes hundreds, if not thousands, of copies of this report, creates this front organization called Physicians for Infant Digestion, or whatever it was, sends these reports out to magazines and newspapers all over the country, and within a very short time, the banana becomes an American staple. Very effective, very effective. These front organizations are routinely formed, even in the gun control arena. A few years ago, again, as I mentioned, you know what the NRA is going to say before they even say it, and you know what the Brady Center for Controlling Gun Violence is going to say before they even say it. But what do you think about an organization called Americans for Gun Safety, or Hunters for Gun Safety? And these phantom groups tend to come and go around election time, and they work because people don't know who they are. It's mysterious. And what they issue in the way of information is credible because you don't dismiss it because of the source. Even the White House and so on, and politicians routinely use leaks, so-called leaks, to release information. Because again, if it comes from the White House, you say, oh, that's just Obama and his people. But when it comes from a leak, a high leak in the administration, you say, oh, this must be important, this is a leak. So you use these kind of very typical and almost universal techniques to distance the propaganda from the source. They're very effective, and they permeate our informational environment.